And we are recording. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for this live session. We're gonna go through processing some DSLR images and uploading them to go through. So this is a tour that I've shot over the summer last year, yep. Let's. But normally, what I'm doing, I'm shooting in RAW, because if anything happens, I can work with the RAW files and try to recover as much as I can. But it's not necessary to shoot in RAW. Actually, recently I've started shooting 5 brackets. But the only thing is with 5 brackets is just like you're gonna have to process more. No, if that's not an issue, yeah, you just go with 5 brackets. Now, in this particular case, I went with 3 brackets. Now, one thing you need to understand when shooting RAW is the images are not processed by the camera. Like, if you have the JPEG and the RAW in the same time, and you look at the JPEGs have boosted the colors. The colors are more vibrant. Everything is tweaked, but the raw images are a bit blunt. Like they don't have a taste, or and that's what we need to do. Like when we're converting from JPEG from RAW to JPEG, we need to go through that process of boosting up first the vibrance of the images. Now, in this particular case, it was sunny, and I'm not sure if you've seen my video in regarding how to shoot with the DSLR, but I've explained there in some cases when I have the sun in front of me, I prefer shooting twice. Like I'm shooting one image with the light hitting my lens and one with me blocking the light. And then in post-processing, I'm opening these 2 images and then deleting just the hand, and then I'm not having the issue of like the light reflection in my lens, so, the warp light of light. Okay, so this is a good example. I'm not sure if we're gonna process all of them, but let's process at least 2 images because it's gonna take some time for us to load to process the images from RAW to JPEG. So this would be, and in my case, this is my case. I like camera RAW in Adobe Bridge. Now, the reason I like Adobe Bridge and not Lightroom, and this is I tried to work with Lightroom. Everyone was working with Lightroom. My problem is when working with Lightroom, I need to create a library or something like that, and I need to load all my images into that library. Now, I'm grinding to so many images that I don't see the logic of going through a library, like to create that library and then importing that library into Lightroom, because I'm not shooting like any regular photographer. I'm not shooting an image here and an image like let's say a wedding photographer. No, this is everything is calculated. Yeah, we have 12 if we shoot 3, and we have 20 images if we shoot 5 brackets per image. And if you expand that, let's say, to a big tour, like 100 panels, it's just going to be a lot of data to import into Lightroom. And once I convert from RAW to JPEG, then I have to work on the JPEGs, create another library, and then infuse those out another library. So to me, it's just like, so okay, I don't see the point. So Bridge, it's much easier. It's like a file browser. You just have it there and you open it. So yep, we have our images here. Now what I like is, first I'm selecting everything, and then I'm just gonna increase the vibration, saturation a bit. Usually, yeah, I may want to increase the exposure and lower down the highlights, and maybe increase the shadows and the blacks. Oh, and then you can go into the sharpening, and you can increase the sharpening and everything from here. Now, the way I'm doing it, usually you do this once, like you set all the settings once, and then for one tour, and then you can just go and load the settings from a previous tour. So in this particular case, yeah, let's say so I have one tour that I really like how I set up my colors, and then I'm always just open the images and setting yeah, my these are my settings. So exposure a bit, increase the texture, the vibrance, the saturation, and then increase the so basically you have to do, you take one image, you do your settings, you save, and then you apply those settings to everything. Now in this particular case, I think the room in here was not the camera didn't do a very good job for white balance, so I might take the white balance. So I'm just selecting these images and take the white balance, and that set up everything. So I'm just scrolling through my images and see, okay, do I need to fix the white balance anywhere? And if I do, then I'm just doing this process. Now when I'm done, I'm just gonna select all and then save. And okay, and we're gonna create a new folder, JPEG2, and save the images in there. Okay, save. It's gonna like converting from RAW to JPEG. It's a pretty intensive task. Now, I'm not sure why it's so slow. Maybe because I'm recording, and that is using the CPU. It seems to be faster now. So that's what I like mostly about Camera Raw. It's very Windows Explorer, let's say, for images, and don't have to load anything. Okay.
I think your voice is also cracking. Might be the raw data is too heavy, so it's consuming more of CPU.
Okay.
So the live is also getting struck.
Okay, so we're just gonna wait for 15 more images. Should be fast. Okay, no. So for me, is processing images is more like a steps of batch processing things. Um, so that's not the folder where I've saved. Anyway, so let's delete this. So this is the prior images that I've processed. So they are now JPEGs. And the next step is infusing these. Now, I'm using Infuse GUI. And I just love it. It's a free tool. You just make sure we have to select JPEG in here. And then we're just gonna take our first panoramas, two panoramas, drag them in here, and make sure we have the bracket set to 3. Now I like Infuse GUI because at least to me it looks like the best natural colors. I do have a license for Photomatics. I think I have a license for many applications, and I tested all of them. But I always end up using Infuse GUI. Yeah, so now the Infuse, it's a really fast process, and it's not burning the CPU as hard as the converting from RAW. No, again, it's just processing. So you just start converting from RAW to JPEG, you go and have lunch, and then you start processing the JPEG into infusing, and again you go take a coffee. And then the same process will be for stitching the images. Oh, just take these and push them to PTGui, and then you go do something else. I'm not staying in front of my computer while the images are processing. So PTGui is always Infuse GUI is always creating these folders. You just have to delete them. And then you put them on the 4. Now we have to fix this. Now usually I'm checking, do I have any light warp? In this particular case, there seems to be something here. It's not very noticeable, but yeah, we're just gonna open Photoshop and fix those two images because it's really fast. So it's okay. So we're gonna have these into Photoshop. Oh, come on. Server file name. Yeah. So let's do some fit on screen. And what I'm doing usually, I'm copying this image, copy and paste here, and then I'm pressing E from erase and just deleting my hand. And this way we not gonna have any. Control A, Control C, Control V, and erase the hand. And this technique works also when you are inside a business, when you're shooting right below an light source. So okay, so now we have to flatten down the image, and then we can save it. Same here. Like in my case, I created, I think, an action. So whenever I'm pressing F2, I'm flattening the image, so I don't have to go through that process. And then Control S and save. And now we can close them all. And now we can delete these. And we end up with 4 images per panel. And we're gonna open now PTGui. Now, I love PTGui. There are many other options out there regarding stitching your images, but PTGui is the one that I love the most. And I think I have like 2 licenses or something. I have a few laptops and desktop computers, so I need to have PTGui on all my devices. Oh, once in PTGui, all you have to do is just make sure you set up the crop. Yeah, so you can try doing this, so you don't see your tripod if you see it. Now, in my case, I just started to, like in this case, my lens was on the panel head was a bit too far out, and I think in September or so I moved a bit the lens a bit back, or it was a bit back, and so I moved it a bit far. Yeah, and I'm not seeing now in my new images, I'm not seeing the ball head anymore, yeah, because this is the one that I'm seeing in here. It's the ball head. But yeah, you can try that, or you can go and do masking. Now, when you're shooting, you always should maintain the same direction. You see, because if you're shooting always in the same direction, you will have the same tripod in the same direction. So you just set up those, and then all you have to do is just masking these like this. I can make it smaller. Now for this particular project, we had to shoot, I think, 80 schools over the summer. Some of the schools, they had in the gym, they had their mascot in front. Now, for those that had the mascot, I've shot also image looking down, because it looks nice. You can have this blurry thing, or you can have like really nice to see the mascot. So if there is something really nice to look down, you just take your camera and then try to have the same position, like same point of view, and just taking like that and take a picture down, and then PTGui will have a really nice Nadir. Now in the settings, like this is after I'm aligning everything, you have exposure compensation. Usually I like to keep this off. I find it that the images look more natural, at least for my case. And since I think PTGui version, whatever version this is 12. So since version 12, they have this feature fill holes. So, and I really love it because it creates this blur thing on the bottom. So I always set these to like that. And when I'm done, I'm going to Tools, Batch Builder, Detect Panoramas, and then I'm going to copy this path and place it in here. Now you have to make sure you have multiple panoramas per folder with a fixed number of images, and image per panel 4. Detect panel is current project, and we'll run align images for each individual, and then send the generated batch list to the batch stitcher. And click generate project, and again, depending on how many images I have, you just go take a break. Again, I think it's working mostly on the CPU, so it takes longer than usually. Sometimes the outside images will have clouds, and when that happens, the images will not stitch very well. So in that case, you would have to go through the projects and clear all the control points that are in the sky. And we can test on these images. On this image, there are some clouds, not as many as other. But look, yeah, we have a bad stitch in here, and that is because the clouds are moving on the sky, and when PTGui is creating the control point, it's looking at it's creating them on the sky, and the clouds, are moving really fast, and by the time you take a full rotation, the image is okay. So we are done. There's nothing here moving, so we are okay. We're just gonna open this. Okay, so I have to close this. I have Windows 11, and I'm not sure if what's happening, but if I have two windows open from the same program, I cannot click on that application, and it's a bit frustrating. I'm not sure it has anything to do with the fact that I prefer having the Windows applications on the top side of my screen. So we're just gonna open this in PTGui and go to the control points. So 1 and 2. So no control points here. Some control points here. This is good. Yeah, so for some reason I couldn't find control points between related to panel number 1. We can go and try to generate control points and see if anything. Yeah, so it seems that it worked. And then 1 and 4. Let's say 4 and 1.
In the project assistant, in the first step, you can generate for all the images at once.
I'm not sure. Usually it works. This is not like you can try to generate control points, but there are cases where you are in a hallway, and there is very hard for PTGui to generate control points. And then in that case, the way I'm doing it is if I cannot, I'm just pressing Control T, and then going to the project folder and applying a template from an image that's stitched correctly. But usually I'm trying to find an image that is close to that particular image. So now if I have, let's say, 30 panels, I'm just in my first panel is the one that's broken. I'm not going to go to the panel number 30. No, I'm just going to go, let's say panel 2 is stitched correctly. I'm just going to panel 2 and take the template and open the template. And yeah, we can try now here and, and see. Yeah, no. So yeah, so usually in the viewer here, you press Ctrl T, you paste the folder, and then you go to the panel that you want to take the template from, click open, and that will take the template. But yeah, you see it's not, try to level, it's not very good. It's like here it was broken. But usually it works. Like if this particular case is like, okay, one image is outside, one image is inside, so it might be a bit shifted. Yeah. So basically that's pretty much it. Like once you've stitched the image, and again, you just batch process this, and yeah.
Al, you're on mute.
I am on mute. Okay, I'm not sure how that happened, but no, I'm not muted now anymore. Okay, so I think that this is basically all the processing that's to be done to a panorama. Now, once you are looking at the final panel, you can modify them. Like, okay, let's take a look in here. You can open in camera raw and play a bit more. Like I'm seeing here, I don't like that it's a bit darker, so you can go and increase a bit the shadows. Let's say the highlights a bit down. Yeah, so you can still play on the JPEG. It should be okay. We can even take a white balance on this one. Yeah, looks good. Maybe exposure a bit more. Yeah. So you can play on the JPEGs also in camera raw, and then you just save them. But again, to me, processing, it's really fast lane. I don't struggle going through this process, and I don't see it like, I don't see an advantage of shooting with a 360 ready camera, like being faster. Again, I'm not seeing that as being faster. It's just like if you want to deliver quality images, it's not gonna be faster, because you need to process those images also. And when we're gonna talk, like probably we're gonna have sometime in the future a video about processing images from a Z1 camera. It's still work, because in my case I'm using the camera, the raw dual raw plugin, in that I'm shooting 9 in brackets in one image, so I still have to wait. I still have to run out of the image, so I'm not in the image, so I'm still staying like a lot for one image. Then I have to take the image, push it to camera raw, play with the light, stitch the image in Ricoh stitcher. So still work. and it's not the same quality. Okay, so I think I covered most of the things that I am doing while processing images. If you have any questions, then yeah, we can open for
Can I
question.
have a question?
Yes, sure.
Well, talking about control points, would you be able to explain to us how to work on control points?
Sure. So,
Thank you.
okay, let's open back this. So, yeah, so let's clear. Like we can, one thing that I actually didn't, I found really recent, like probably a year ago or so, is I can click shift in the control points, click shift and select everything, and then click delete, and that will delete my all control points. This is very useful, especially when you have control points in the sky. So usually what I'm doing is I'm just selecting the sky and delete all the control points in the sky. So that's one feature that I really love. The next would be to add the control points, and that you just have to usually click on 100%. You move it like this. So you move the two images so you have them side by side, and then you just click on corners. So wherever you find the corner, and that's at least how I prefer. So let's say add one here, and then I'm going to the second image in here. So now we have added this one control point, and then let's say we want to add one here and the other one here. Now usually when you have two control points, if the camera is set up properly, adding more control points, they will be done almost automatically. You might just have to fix it just a bit, I don't know. But so anything after it's done automatically. Yeah, so one thing I'm noticing about these images that I have a bit of a chromatic aberration. So let's say in camera raw, there is an option where we can remove that chromatic aberration. I should have had it already. Remove chromatic aberration. So if we zoom now, it's less than what we have in these images. Okay, so if we look here, we see a bit of magenta, and if we go back into camera raw, that is gone. So yeah, I strongly advise you to use this remove chromatic aberration. Yeah, so once you set up the control points, you just go and click run optimizer, and then everything should look good.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Alan, just a quick question.
Yes, Martin.
Why don't you use PTGui to do the HDR for you? Why do you go to infuse then PTGui? Because PTGui can do it all, can't it?
It can. It's just like I love it more with infuse. Like, you know, when you get used with something, I'm like, I'm old in this business. Like, I'm doing this for the last 10 years now. I think I've tried once, and I find that like you can put in PTGui directly. The converting from the raw and the infusing and everything can be done directly in PTGui. I just find it is not that the final result is not as good as the one that I'm doing it if I'm doing these steps one by hand. So again, that's me, and also I felt that it's slower. It takes much more time for PTGui to do all these steps if I'm doing them individually.
Yeah, I find using PTGui a lot faster than using infuse. So yeah, each to their own, I suppose. The other question is around, there's a functionality in PTGui called tone mapping and exposure fusion.
Yes.
Which has slightly confused me as to which one would be better to use.
I've tried. Yeah, so I've tried, and I couldn't find. Like, probably it works best if you start from raw. I don't know, but I tried to play with these settings and I couldn't get anything usable.
I'm glad I'm not the only one then.
Yeah, but probably since it's there, probably some people are using it. But
I just found it just gave me, certainly on interior ones, it gave me completely ridiculous images that just didn't work. So I stopped trying to use it.
Yeah, so we have a question from François regarding the settings from Infuse. There are no settings. Basically, I'm just using the default. Opening Infuse, and only thing is make sure you have the bracket count to the correct number and select JPEG. That's it. Like I tried to play with these settings and couldn't find anything that is better than the default. Yeah. Okay. So, any other questions? Okay, so if
you wanna tell something about Nadir, Al, and how to add Nadir in the go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding Nadir, let's open go through. So go through has right now two tools. I would say let's say 3 tools that allow you to work on an Nadir, and we are planning to add a new one probably this month. First would be like, okay, so let's talk about Nadir first. Like how go through works with Nadir. In the account settings, we have a function auto Nadir patching, and usually that function is turned on. Now, what is happening is when you upload new images to go through, we are looking at the bottom of the image, and if we detect a black area, we try to approximate how much of that black area it's eating into the image, and then take one pixel and just drag it down. And that will result in a Nadir that is looking like this. Now that it's an automatic feature, and sometimes it's not going to work, especially if it's a gray asphalt on or there is actually black in the Nadir, and that's actually not good. Or sometimes even you have a drone image and by mistake we patch the Nadir. In my case, I turned this function off, but because in PTGui I don't need it anymore, because in PTGui I'm using fill holes function, so I don't need go through to patch the Nadir for me. But before that function, that was a good automatic function. Again, you can turn this off if you find that it's not providing you good results. If you still want to patch your Nadir, then all you have to do is like you turn off, you come here, and then you select the size, like how much you want, and then select all. Come on, and then apply. And that it's go through. It's really fast. We have multiple server working at the same time, and we're just gonna go and patch all these for you. And you can reload. It's I think it finished, but I didn't expand it as much. Probably I have to go. But this circle is not probably one-to-one. I just apply to this one. Come on. What's happening? And sometimes is we also cache these images. So sometimes we cache these images and anyway, so that's one thing that you can do it, and then you can upload the Nadir in here. Now the Nadir needs to be this size, and it should be a PNG, a transparent PNG, so it's not a square. And then when you upload it, we're gonna apply it to everything. So that's the one. Yeah, so that's one tool that we have. But we have another tool when you can actually patch the Nadir. Now this is a bit slower. It's a 1-by-1 image, and the process is like, okay, we convert the image to cube map. We take the bottom part of the cube, and then you can work on it. And then when you save it, we convert again the cube map to a rectangular, and that's how that tool works. But again, this is a slower process, and it allows you to patch like really, like almost like in Photoshop to patch the nadir. Yep, so we are done, and we can select from where we want to patch. So let's say we want to patch from here, and click preview, and this is how it looks now. And when we click save, and you can actually split this in multiple. So let's say you have some things that around, and one sphere is not big enough. You can split it, and this is how it looks. Again, splitting is, we have different light here and different light here, but it allows you to to make, or you can go smaller, and you can try to patch from so the green is from where we copy him. Yeah, so we can do multiple patching like this, and increase the radius, the blur radio around it. So so this is really nice tool, but again, it's a bit slower than the other one, but the results are better, and you have to go one by one. And what we are gonna release probably later this month is gonna be a mirror ball nadir. Our image servers can create little planets from all the images, and that's done through the GPU. Our GPU servers, it's really fast, like it takes about 2 seconds to create a little planet from our images. So it's not an issue. It's just for us a way to, like, okay, enable, like, we're gonna have a switch somewhere in here, like little mirror ball, and then you click on it, and then boom, in 10 seconds, 15 seconds, everything has a ball, a mirror ball nadir. But again, this is not too many like it. We had a few requests, and since it's not too hard for us to implement, we're gonna have it. So yep. Okay, so that's how you can work with the nadir in go through. Any other questions?
Alan, thank you for having us.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to
Appreciate it.
show you something. This. So I have 4 20 terabytes hard drives in here, working on the next go through project. It's gonna be a big thing. So hopefully after I'm back from Beijing, we're gonna be able to release the new project. I'm really excited about it. Yep. So stay tuned. Okay. So if that's it, then I wish you everyone a good weekend. And yeah, looking forward for the next live session. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Al.
Looking forward. See you next time.